My name's Jason Jarrett. I'm an exercise scientist and an exercise physiologist. Every injury is unique and every fitness goal is unique. Work with me and you'll get the professional direction you need with your situation. Hi, I'm Jason, and today we're going to talk about a little metaphor that I like to use for how we describe injury management, or how I describe injury management. So, you've got an injury, whether it's a past injury or a current injury, and you're a little bit scared and a little bit worried about exacerbating this injury with exercise. So, what many of my clients have heard me use as a metaphor is a cat. So, if we think about our injury as a cat, okay, and the exercise, the rehabilitation that we're doing for the injury is equivalent to we're going up to the cat and we want to rub his belly. How does that usually work out for most people? So those who are cat owners might know that cats can be a little bit temperamental, but we definitely want to rub their belly as much as we can, right? So there's the risk there though that, yeah, you might get in a few belly rubs, but with most cats, they're going to turn around and scratch you or start attacking you eventually. So you're pushing the envelope. How many belly rubs can you get in with a cat before you get scratched or before he starts going a little bit crazy on you? It's very much like injury management. Exercise, appropriately prescribed, can be good for our injuries, but it's got to be in the right dose and it's got to be the right type of exercise. If we do the wrong type of exercise and we do too much of it, we're going to feel it in a bad way. I like to compare that to, we've gone up to this cat that's sleeping quietly, we've given him a few rubs of the belly and we've kept going and he's turned around and scratched us. We don't really want to get scratched. We want to get those belly rubs in because we just can't resist it, but we don't want to get scratched. So we've got to know when to pick up on the signs when he's waking up. You know, if he starts to look a bit agitated, he looks at you, it's like, okay, we've got 3 or 4 belly rubs in. Let's just call it quits there and, retreat with our hand intact and no scratches or blood happening. So it's a nice little metaphor, a nice way for you to think about it. I started using a cat. I used to use a dragon, but it's probably better if we don't think about our injuries as a dangerous creature or something that's terribly threatening. So that just naturally evolved into a cat. Let's maybe think about our injuries as more of a pet that has teeth and claws. So we want to be friendly and intimate with our injuries, our chronic diseases, our chronic injuries. We know them intimately. We usually know what our boundaries are. Most people have a fairly good idea, but we shouldn't fear it. We appreciate our boundaries, but we don't fear managing them and moving to the next level. So again, it's very much like a cat, I feel, because cats are temperamental. You can't always predict how they're going to behave, but you have to use a little bit of your own intuition and experience. Very much like an injury, it's laying there. It's like, okay, what can we get away with here? And it takes quite a bit of experience from a practitioner to appreciate that too. It takes sensitivity, but also appreciation for how injuries can respond to certain types of exercise. So just a nice way that you can think about your injury. Another little thing that I quite like with this metaphor is, when should we begin to rub that cat's belly, or when should we begin to exercise when we have injuries? So imagine that your cat is really hyped up, he's running around bouncing off the walls like my cat often does, and you go in for you don't even get a belly rub in. You go and reach out and he's just climbing your arm because he wants to play. He wants to play, but you end up with scratch marks on your arm. You don't even get a belly rub. And then how would you respond to that? Being a cat owner, how would you respond? I know I shouldn't have gone in for a belly rub when he was in that mood. You wouldn't be like, oh, cats always scratch, I can't ever go to pet him or rub his belly. You wouldn't say that, would you? Because you know it's context specific. Well, it's the same with injuries. So in the equivalent context, when your injury is running around the house bouncing off the walls, don't go for a belly rub. it's, most people have an intuitive sense of when their injuries flared up, and they know, okay, like I know I can't do this or that exercise. Like I know if I do that, I'm going to be painful the next day. So a lot of people develop this intuitive understanding of their boundaries through perhaps a lot of trial and error and experience. But this is just another nice way of thinking about it. Try not to fear your chronic injuries too much. So when that cat has calmed down, he's not running around the house bouncing off the walls. When he's calmed down, he's found a spot in the sun. Okay, now it's time for us to carefully and quietly walk up to him. Maybe don't stroke his belly first. Maybe give him a pat down the spine and then rub the belly a few times. How's he doing? He's okay. Rub the belly a few more times. This is exactly the approach I take, and from my understanding, what most other good clinicians and practitioners take when it comes to managing an injury. We are sensitive, we look at the injury, we have experience. We're like, okay, I know this cat. I know how he tends to respond to belly rubs. I think if I walk around him this way rather than that way, I think if I pet his head or scratch his chin before going in for a belly rub. So this takes a lot of experience. I'm just trying to use this metaphor. And I've just found it something that tends to get across to clients really well with how their injuries respond to the rehab that we're doing and why we do things the way we do. So I hope you like that metaphor. Rub the cat's belly, but with caution, with a bit of intuition, and at the right time and at the right pace. Don't be scared. He's your cat. He needs attention. If you don't ever rub his belly, he's gonna get pissed off, okay? So he pretends not to like the attention, but he wants and needs the attention. But you've got to do it in such a way that you're not gonna come away with scratches all up your arm. So there's that. And that's how we tend to approach injuries, with respect, with a bit of reserve, but each time we know, okay, I know I can do 5 or 6 belly rubs this time rather than 3 or 4. In this way, we're going to make progress with our injuries. It's really important that, particularly when you're starting a new program, we're not jumping in too quickly. So the first, and I've said this before, but it's really important to understand particularly the first 4 weeks or 4 sessions of your program can feel quite gentle. And you might think, well, I'm not sweating. I don't feel like I'm doing much. Well, that's because I don't know your cat's temperament. He's new to me. I know the type of cat, the breed, but even within the breed, each cat is a little bit different. And I'm just like, okay, let's be a bit cautious. I don't want either of us to get scratched arms. So I've got experience with this cat, not this specific cat, but this breed of cat. But let's still be a bit cautious. And I think we can go this or that hard. So it's like that. That's why it takes a number of sessions for us to step up to the cat before we give him his belly rubs. Beautiful. And I work in a gym part-time, and I have no doubt I've received a few strange looks while explaining to clients that we're going in for another belly rub. I hope they didn't think I was being literal. So we're not literally going in for belly rubs, okay? It's a metaphor. So that's a story for another time. Great. Well, I hope that you found this video and this story useful. Please feel free to comment below, and be sure to subscribe and like the video if you found if you found the content useful. Thanks for joining me.